If I had a nickel for every time the Elestronauts had an undefeated Earth deck profile, I'd have 3 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened 3 times, right? Surely it won't happen again. Yo, what's up, Minibugs and Elestriad Faithful? Oh wow, that's wrong. What's up, Minibugs and Elestronauts Faithful? My name is Swolelax, and welcome back to another Elestrals video. This time, something is a little bit different today. We are going to be going over the first deck in Daybreak that I have been testing with, and I'm really excited because I think these are such interesting times. We don't know what the meta is like. It's pretty much wide open. There's a few ideas of what cards and what decks are good, but I wanted to test out something a little familiar, but also something with some interesting spice. So this is my 4-0 Earth deck profile using some of the new cards from Daybreak. I don't have a ton of experience testing Daybreak so far, so I decided to enter one of the Tournament Tuesdays, and I ended up going undefeated. That being said, let's go ahead and get into this undefeated Earth Daybreak deck profile. If you guys want to see more from the Elestronauts, make sure to hit that like button and the subscribe button to check out more decks that we are playing for Daybreak. And let us know inside the comment section down below what decks you guys want to see us try out. I would love to know what decks you guys are playing, as well what decks that maybe we should be considering for the upcoming Daybreak meta. So let's get it. I'm gonna start off with the old and then into the new. We're gonna have 3 copies of Astrabbit and 3 copies of Elechick. If you guys are familiar with this deck at all, then you know these are pretty much staples, but Astrabbit's actually a weird consideration. Now, I was going to pick Clovey for this spot, and I do think Clovey actually could be pretty good into the Daybreak meta, just kind of TBD. The only thing that separated out Astrabbit from Clovey is not its 5 defense. It's not its look 3, pick 1 effect. It's 2 stat. Can you believe it? The only thing that's particularly separating out Clovey in this deck from Astrabbit is its attack stat. Also, of course, 3 Elechick to search out our Demeter, which we are playing later. This might look familiar as well with 3 copies of Mostation, the Crab, 3 copies of Viscerus. If you're playing Earth, it's a pretty solid bet. As well, we have 3 copies of Equilinx and 2 copies of Demeter. This is our pretty standard Earth package as well. I'm only playing 2 Demeter because I feel like you only really need 2. The third one does kind of come up, I guess, if Elechick is Gorgons, but I feel like Demeter is relatively expensive, and also you're really just trying to maximize on other cards inside of the strategy. I am playing 1 copy of Fully Forest as well as an additional Nexus Bank and a different card from Demeter that does something. And I'm gonna be real with you, I actually kind of wish I played 2 of these. This is the one card when I saw it, either as a Nexus Bank or as like a boosting effect, was super, super strong. So maybe 2 of these could be a consideration inside the future. And that's it. That's the Earth package. No, I'm just joking. This might look a lot similar to, you know, our boy Josh's undefeated list from this past weekend, and I think that is very fair to say. But I am really excited to talk about the new stuff. Ooh. So we have 3 copies of Mudlet inside of the main. This card is crazy. Effectively, in a deck full of really good beaters that can get over anything, Mudlet is a very welcome inclusion, surprisingly. It's no Mostation and it's no Viscerus in terms of its stats, but its effect to flip the position of an Elestral is really, really strong, especially into things like 5s and also into things like Eddy or Spectaris. The new 5s list and the new cards that are playing in 5s are very, very terrifying. So Mudlet kind of helps that out as well, and to deal with cards like Astrabbit and other 5 defenders, which this deck can somewhat struggle with if you don't have an Elechick or a Demeter. So the idea with Mudlet is that it's effectively extra forms of Mostation because it can get rid of pretty much anything. As well, I can kind of consider it as extra copies of Earthquake because it is just a 1 card removal for practically any Elestral on the board. This thing can bait counter runes, which is super strong. Decks can somewhat struggle with that, and I think Mudlet is really that guy. So that's not the only thing we're playing from the new stuff, though. We have 2 copies of Bloom. Bloom is a new counter rune that says Nexus 1, and if you do, you may enchant an Earth to an Elestral on the field. Now, at first glance, it kind of seems like it's another do-nothing card, but I think this card is actually kind of nuts for a lot of different reasons. I actually wanted to maybe play a 3rd one just to see it come up, and inside this tournament, it didn't quite perform. I was already winning by the time that I saw this card, so it wasn't like it was the end-all be-all. But here's the theory behind it. So here's the scenario that you are typically running across here. So oftentimes Mostation is going to be in defense position after it attacks. This could also be a Viscerus if you really wanted it to, and then you have a Mudlet on the field. Let's say you have Bloom set. So the idea with this is if you have 2 Earth Elestrals and Mudlet, effectively this becomes Altar of Stars. And this is also really, really, really cool. So one of the big power plays inside of the Earth Nexus deck, and one of the things that allowed Josh to take it home this past weekend, is the fact that you could use this interaction to either destroy Elestrals, to win the defensive position. Very, very strong interaction. So let's go ahead and get into it. So similarly to Circle the Sky, you can activate Bloom and take a spirit from the board. So like with Astrabbit, you can take the Astrabbit, the Nexus onto the Astrabbit, prompting its effect. Same idea with Bloom. So in theory, what you can do is you can go take the spirit off Mudlet, Nexus the Moss Station one to Mudlet, and then enchant from your spirit deck back on to the Moss Station, right? Then you can use Mudlet's effect to turn Moss Station to attack or your opponent's Elestrals to defense. And that's because when Mudlet receives an Earth Spirit, you can then turn an Elestral's position. The other alternative play that you can do is just activate Bloom normally without spirits on the board, even though that is a big advantage, and then activates Bloom's effect to Nexus from the Mudlet to Moss Station and re-enchant back to the Mudlet. Mudlet then prompts, Moss Station now is an 8, and then your opponent's taking an extra spirit damage. Again, this is a very versatile combo that might look really familiar as something that you can do with Altar of Stars. And I think extra copies of Altar of Stars, arguably one of the best counter runes inside of the entire game, is Nuts, Butts, Bananas, Bonkers. So, you know, this is a pretty cool combo. And that's kind of the big draw in theory of this strategy. Everything else should look pretty straightforward. We have 3 copies of Earthquake for our Premier removal. We have 3 copies of Ambrosia just to heal spirits back. We also have 3 copies of Gorgon's Gaze, 3 copies of PTA. This also is kind of a consideration. This 3rd copy of PTA might be the 2nd Foley. It also might be the 3rd Bloom. Kind of depends. PTA felt like it was good, but I didn't actually really want to see multiple. As well, we have 2 copies of Shield of Achilles and 3 copies of Altar of Stars. Once again, the interaction of the defense position stuff is very, very strong, so Altar of Stars is crazy for that. And that's effectively the list inside of the main deck. I feel like it was a pretty tight main deck, but I do think that we are getting closer to a very strong Earth Nexus strategy, or Exus. I don't know. And then last but not least, we have the Spirit deck, which the Spirit math is hilariously easy. We have, and I'm not joking, 15 Terratlas, excuse my one non-Daybreak Terratlas, and 5 Thunder Spirits. This felt perfect the entire time. We are not playing Tsunami because we have things like Bloom and Altar of Stars to kind of take its place, plus the fact that there's a lot of water decks that are still pretty good inside the meta, so this is kind of that consideration. It is hilarious how easy this spirit math is, and you have plenty of Earth Spirits to do shenanigans, plenty of Thunder Spirits to re-enchant rabbits to take his damage. I find that is probably one of the best parts about this list, is that it is very, very straightforward and very Earth heavy, which I do like. Mudlet itself was crazy all night. I do think that is very worth experimenting with. So let me know what you guys think of this list, but also what decks you guys are playing with inside of Daybreak into the comment section down below. Do you guys like Mudlet? Do you guys like Bloom? Have you guys tried or played this type of strategy? Let me know in the comment section down below as well. Make sure to leave a like and also subscribe to see more decks for Daybreak. Excited to bring those to you guys. And oh man, this was my first taste of the new format, and I'm very excited. Anyways, that's all I gotta say. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.